country is already being tested in many ways by the coronavirus. We've got an economic crisis. We've got a reckoning on systemic racism. And now we are being tested once again, the last thing we need, on what could be one of the strongest storms ever to hit this country. Her name is Hurricane Laura. She made landfall as a Category 4 near Cameron, Louisiana at 1 o'clock this morning local time. Maximum sustained winds were recorded at 150 miles an hour.
Hundreds of thousands have already lost power on a day, including storm surges that forecasters predicted would be unsurvivable for people who did not evacuate. Tony is in Lake Charles, Louisiana this morning, which is about 30 miles from where the storm came ashore. Tony, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Gayle. Good morning, Anthony. You're going to have to bear with us because we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. And we've also had an extremely long night here in Lake Charles, where we just found out that the eye of this storm, the strongest storm to hit this area on record, we believe, passed directly over the location where I am standing right now in Lake Charles, 30 miles inland. Let me tell you why that is particularly scary. We are about 30 minutes before sunrise here, which means somewhere out in the darkness over my shoulder, there is still an as yet untallied level of damage in the surrounding area. And if the worst of the forecasts are accurate, an uncounted number of dead as well. If it's any indication of what we may see when the sun comes up, this hotel where we are, it's a modern hotel, it's a new hotel, it is largely hurricane proof. And nevertheless, we have lost pieces of the roof. If you look behind me, you can see the pool deck here is scrambled. The tops of trees are sheared off. In my hotel room itself, in the middle of the night, I was awoken by a shattered pane of glass. I had to evacuate, along with many other workers here, oil and refinery workers who are sheltering here before checking on the plants, while also worrying, and this is the big thing, about their own homes. The job site is one thing, but then there's the condition of their own property and their own loved ones. To get a broader perspective from what we're seeing right here in Lake Charles, because every foot can make a difference in a storm like this one, I want to go to Omar Villafranca, who is not far from where I am standing and also rode out the storm here in Lake Charles. Omar, good morning to you. What are the conditions like where you are?
Good morning, Tony. The storm slammed into us overnight, and the wind was so violent, we could actually feel our hotel shaking. We could hear the building groaning, and things were slamming against our window, and we were 6 stories up, and this is just the beginning of what many fear could be a deadly storm. After days of anticipation, Hurricane Laura ripped into Louisiana's coast and beyond overnight.
Oh my God!
Packing 150-mile-per-hour winds as it made landfall. This building was torn to shreds.
It's windy and it's wet and things are blowing fast.
10 to 15 inches of rainfall are expected in some areas, and the National Weather Service said the storm surge could be unsurvivable in certain places as it threatens to push up to 40 miles inland. Before Laura made landfall, NOAA hurricane hunters flew through the storm, visible via satellite as it churned toward the Gulf Coast, where more than 500,000 people were under evacuation orders.
If you are here, you're going to have to hunker down.
We spoke with Lake Charles Mayor Nick Hunter hours before the hurricane slammed his city. He told us it'll be a challenge to respond to the storm victims who stayed behind.
So there's going to be a window where the desire is there to go and give people services, and we can't do it. It's just not safe.
To give you an idea of how bad they're expecting things to get here, over in Vermilion Parish, officials told people there who decided to hunker down and ride the storm out some simple instructions. Get a piece of paper, write your name, your social security number, and your next of kin, and put it in a Ziploc bag, because if they find you dead, they want to know who they found and who to contact to tell them you are no longer alive. Tony?
All right, Omar, thank you very much. You stay safe where you are. One of the big concerns going into this storm for meteorologists was the storm surge. We are 30 miles from the coast, but that surge could push inland past us as many as 40 miles in, and then the storm itself, with intense wind and tornadoes, could push still further from there. So I want to go to Jonathan Vigliotti, who is about 100 miles from the coast in Manny, Louisiana. Jonathan, good morning to you. What are you seeing where you are?
Yeah, Tony, good morning to you. You know, our Southern Bureau Chief, Scott Keenan's going to give me a ring because earlier today I told him I didn't think the storm was going to be this strong, this far up north here in central Louisiana, and I was wrong. So, Scott, I'm sorry. We have about 130-mile-per-hour gusts at times as the eye wall makes its way over us. You can see the wind and the rain ripping through these trees. And, Tony, it's important to point out, unlike where you are by the coast, the homes here are not built to withstand this kind of sustained wind for this long. The concern here this morning is twofold. Of course, the wind. There are tornado warnings in effect, wind gusts powerful enough to flip over cars and mobile homes and bring down trees and, of course, power lines with them. And then, of course, all of the rain. When all is said and done, we're expecting up to 10 inches to be dumped here. That is going to cause flash flooding. We've been riding out this storm in a hotel packed with evacuees from the coast. Along with them, first responders. Once the storm passes through, they will hit the roads to clear them of any debris and, of course, all of those trees, so other emergency personnel can make their way in to assess the damage. I can tell you right now that the governor has let out all of the National Guard. They will be here to assess the damage, and if the power outages here are any indication, they have their work cut out for them. More than 300,000 people in the dark, including us. We just lost our power. Tony, back to you.
All right, Jonathan, thank you very much. Believe it or not, the wind that we are still experiencing here in Lake Charles is the tail end of this storm. It made landfall around Cameron, Louisiana, and is now tracking inland. To get more on where this storm may go next, let's go to Lonnie Quinn, who's tracking it from New York. Lonnie, good morning to you. What can people inland expect?
Okay, good morning to you, Tony, and good morning, everybody. Inland, it's just getting to you right now. It's about 100 miles. The center of the storm is about 100 miles inland right now as we speak. It came on shore. You know, you were telling us, Tony, it was around Cameron. Sure enough, it's a Category 4, 150-mile-per-hour winds. Well, as of right now, and again, it's 100 miles inland, you still have winds that are blowing. This is an updated number, 105 miles per hour. So it's a Category 2, but it's been over land for 100 miles, and you still have a Category 2. The only thing that I have that's good to report about this storm is the forward progress. It's always been moving at 15 or 16 miles per hour. A lot of these storms will creep through an area at 3, 4 miles per hour. That's the only good thing I have to report. Now, in terms of the storm surge, all right, the winds at the coast, you've had your toughest winds already at the coast. The rain, well, you're kind of done with the heaviest rain at the coast, but the storm surge is just getting started. This is Lake Charles. That skinny red line shows you where the storm surge is. We are just now going into major flooding. The reason is, even though the storm is north of you, the circulation is still pushing that water onshore. We got a few more hours of some bad storm surge. Guys, let's go back to you.
All right, Lonnie, thank you very much. I want to give people another perspective on the wind and rain-battered Louisiana coast as we await dawn here. So let's go to Errol Barnett, who is in Kinder, Louisiana. That was just outside the eye wall. Errol, good morning to you.
Well, Tony, as you can see, we're still feeling the effects of Hurricane Laura. In fact, at this casino, which is one of the largest in the state, it lost power overnight. So we're now joining 11,000 other people in the county who do not have electricity right now. And as this hurricane made landfall, it made for a very uneasy night for people in this state. Our phones buzzing with tornado alerts and high wind warnings as well. In fact, as the hurricane made landfall, it flipped an RV in Lake Charles. That's about 40 miles from where we are right now. Winds were up to 150 miles an hour, making it the most powerful hurricane to hit this part of the state.
Errol Barnett for us reporting from Kinder, Louisiana. And Gayle and Anthony, as I toss it back to you, I will leave you with a reminder that we are still 20 minutes or so before sunrise here along the Gulf Coast, which means we cannot yet fully assess the scope of this damage. But what we do know at this hour is that this is believed to be the strongest storm to hit this region on record.
Boy, Tony, thank you very much. We'll come back to you a little bit later on. He painted quite a picture, Anthony. The thing was so ferocious, it sounded like Errol Barnett lost his accent when you're screaming. That thing is so very frightening.
Just blew it away. No, these pictures are really scary, and we haven't even begun to see what this storm has done yet.
Yes, yes. It's not even daylight there yet.